Live from the United National Congress virtual platform, former Minister of Energy, Kevin Ramnarine.
Now is the time to put them out. 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 Now is the time.
Thank you very much. Honorable Political Leader of the United National Congress, Kamla Prasad-Bissessar, members of the UNC National Executive, hardworking members of the executive, thousands of people listening on the internet. Tonight, we are here to discuss the general election, which is 3 weeks away, when this country will be called upon to make a critical decision. What is the main issue in this election? What is the issue that has people worried the most? The main issue in this election, in my opinion, is the state of the economy of Trinidad and Tobago and the future of that economy. The Trinidad and Tobago economy last grew in 2015. It grew in that year by 1.8% under the leadership of former Prime Minister Kamla Prasad-Bissessar. In that year, Petro-Trin was fully functional, and 20 plants, 20 of the world-scale plants at Point Lisas were fully operational. Yes, there were challenges at Petro-Trin in those days, but those challenges were made infinitely worse by decisions taken by the PNM between 2016 and 2018. Today, the Pointe-Pierre refinery is dark, and that was 19 months ago. That was 19 months ago. And 8 of the 20 plants at Point Lisas are now closed. In 2015, oil production in this country was 78,600 barrels of oil per day. Today, it is around 56,700 barrels of oil per day, a decline of 28% in 5 years and billions of dollars lost. In 2015, natural gas production was 3.84 billion cubic feet of natural gas per day. Today, it is down to 3.44. That is a decline of 10%. And that situation that I just described would have been a lot worse had the former cabinet, under the leadership of the then Prime Minister, not intervened to provide incentives to stimulate investment in exploration, as we did between 2010 and 2015. Again, in 2015, Kamla Prasad-Bissessar, together with world-class investors Mitsubishi, turned the sod to start a new methanol plant in La Brea. That was 2015. Today, 5 years later, instead of opening new methanol plants, we are closing methanol plants. And our industrial base, which stretch from Point Lisas to our north, all the way down to Point 14 in the south, is contracting. In 2015, our drilling activity in this country was 2,765 rig days. In 2019, that has collapsed to 1,455 rig days. And I say this because the Prime Minister has been repeating over and over when he speaks that drilling is happening and so much wonderful drilling is happening all over the country. But the facts and the figures, and I deal with facts and figures and data, I don't shoot from the hip like the Prime Minister. The facts say that drilling is down in that 4-year period, 2015 to 2019, by 50%. And as the leader pointed out last week, Thursday, in the last virtual meeting, it has gotten significantly worse in the year 2020. In 2015, the foreign reserves of this country in May 2015, and I'm choosing May because I'm comparing May 2015 to May 2020, was $10.8 billion. Today, May 2020, $6.9 billion. So that is a significant reduction in our foreign reserves. But that's not the only part of the story. Within that $6.9 billion, which is where we are today, is a significant amount of money that the country has borrowed on the international market. So it's about $2 billion of that 6.9 is borrowed money. So it would be a lot worse. And between 2011 and 2015, the Kamla Prasad Bisesa administration awarded 1.418, I'll give you 3 decimal places tonight, 1.418 million hectares of acreage for exploration. That compares to 41,000 hectares awarded in the last 4 years under the Rowley administration, a 34-fold decline. Thank you, Arnold. I give these comparisons because we have been hearing the Prime Minister say that the energy sector is in a better place. But that is normally what you say about somebody when they die, that they are in a better place. And today, in The Guardian, we saw the Minister of Energy said that the energy sector is alive and kicking. This is the same Minister of Energy who has not given as much as a square inch of new acreage for exploration in the last 5 years. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister blames the closure of those 8 plants in Point Lisas on COVID-19. And COVID-19 has become the convenient go-to excuse for a lot of the misery happening in the energy sector and in the wider economy. But what he doesn't tell us is what is the role of political intrusion in the year 2017 in negotiations between the NGC and its suppliers. And if you listen to the comments coming out of the plants that have closed, from Proman and Yara and from Nutrien, they have all cited how expensive natural gas has become in Trinidad and Tobago in recent years, more so in the last 2 years. So the result of all this economic stagnation, contraction, and malaise is a contracting economy. As I pointed out, the economy has not grown in 5 years. Collectively, our economy has declined by 12.75% in the last 5 years, making Trinidad and Tobago one of the worst performing economies in the world. This is a fact that I checked myself on the IMF database. And we are in company with Venezuela, which is the worst performing economy in the world, with Libya, with Yemen, with Lebanon, and with Puerto Rico, a country which was devastated by a hurricane. So our economy has made us all, the performance of the economy under the leadership of Colm Imbert has made us all poorer today than we were 5 years ago. And I understand, and I think we all understand, that oil and gas prices have been on a roller coaster ride in recent years. But that is no excuse for the strangulation of the private sector and the choking of the economy with excessive taxation. One of the pledges made by the leader of the opposition, soon to be Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, is a reduction across the board of corporation tax. And that is going to release the noose which is around the neck of the private sector in Trinidad and Tobago. So the situation we face today is made worse or is compounded by dangerous debt levels. The total debt of the country is now around approximately 127 billion Trinidad and Tobago dollars, and that is inclusive of something called contingent liability. The PNM's plan seems to be what I call rain dance economics. And rain dance economics means that you beat the drum and hope that rain falls, as used to happen when you look at those old westerns from a long time. And the rain that they're expecting to fall is a turnaround in oil and natural gas prices. They have been waiting for that for the last 5 years, and it has not happened because we are living in a different world. So I say all that to give a picture of where we are. And I'm not saying that because I want to be a prophet of doom. I'm saying that because if we are to navigate the economy forward and give this country the economy it deserves, we need to clearly define reality. We are in economic pain that has been brought on by the policies of the Minister of Finance. And what we are doing to numb that pain is taking painkillers. And the 2 painkillers that we've been taking for the last 5 years is borrowing, going to the bank internationally and locally and borrowing money, And the second painkiller, the latest painkiller on the market, is draining of the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. Those strategies are not sustainable and they will collapse. So what about the future? What is the plan going forward? The future requires courageous, bold economic leadership that is transformative. The political leader of the UNC, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, has advocated such transformation in the UNC's transformation plan, which I fully endorse. Last Thursday, she spoke about the need to reform the fiscal regime governing the energy sector to stimulate investment and to get companies drilling again. And I gave you the figures about how drilling has collapsed under this government. That is needed because the fastest way to turn this economy around is to increase oil and gas activity and production. We also have to get those plants in Point Lisas all fully up and running again. And what does that all mean? It means that if we do that, we resuscitate the hundreds of energy service companies and contractors in places like Mayaro, in places like Pointe-à-Pierre, Claxton Bay, San Fernando, La Brea, and Point Fortin. And I'm speaking largely about the economy of South Trinidad here. And before I move out South Trinidad, before I came here today, I spoke to some Petrotrin retirees. And they are very concerned about two things. One is that when Petrotrin was shut down in November 2018, the retirees were given a 2-year medical plan to tide them through. That 2 years is about to expire. That 2 years will expire in November 2020. And what I am told is that approximately 20,000 people, retirees plus their dependencies, will be without health care, without a medical plan. And they will have to face the private and the public health system. So that, of course, is of great concern because these people, prior to 2018, were of the opinion that they would have received medical care from Petrotrin for the remainder of their lives. The second issue is the pension plan of Petrotrin. And these points that I am making affect thousands of people living mainly in South Trinidad who used to work Petrotrin. The actuarial review for the 3-year period ending September 2019, that report is soon to be made available to members of the pension plan. And I can tell you that the 7,000 retirees of Petrotrin are very concerned about what that actuarial review may say. And it may well be that at some point in the not too distant future, the government of Trinidad and Tobago may have to take action, and that may well be a UNC government, not may well be, will be a UNC government, will have to take action to save the lives and the livelihoods of Petrotrin pensioners. And I make the point again, these are people who have served Trinidad and Tobago well, who have given their lives to the development of this country, and they are now facing the threat, the anxiety of life without the benefits that they worked for when they were at Petrotrin. The political leader has also spoken in her transformation plan about Galeota. And when we were in government, under her leadership, we completed the first phase of the Galeota port. And I want to say that her vision for Galeota as a regional logistics hub is a brilliant vision. And for that to be realized, we have to finish phase 2 of the Galeota port. When we were in government, we finished phase 1. This government has not been able to start phase 2. They had some RFP in the papers that I think went nowhere. That Galeota port is going to become a regional logistics hub to service the deepwater oil industry in Suriname and in Guyana, and it will create thousands of jobs and possibly a new industrial base in southeastern Trinidad. So we have to also mobilize the private sector and make them partners in rebuilding Trinidad and Tobago. And for that to happen, the private sector has to have confidence in the government and confidence in the economy. For that not to happen, you buff up the private sector, you call them in the Hyatt and you drag them all over the place and buff them up, and that is how you demotivate businessmen. And that is what happened in this country in the last 5 years. A lot of buffing of the private sector went on. So, in winding up, there's a lot more for me to say about the energy sector and about the economy of Trinidad and Tobago, but time doesn't permit. And I will end by saying that our country is not beyond redemption. However, the window to save this country and to right-side this country and to stop the decline and decay of the last 5 years, that window is getting smaller. The country cannot continue in this declining trajectory. So on the 10th of August, vote for visionary economic leadership that is needed to pull this country back from the brink and to put us on a path to prosperity for all. Thank you very much.
No! No!